Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Interview Line. At Unakriti, we help you tap your avatars through coaching, counseling, our web studio, and cloud hosting services. Through Interview Line, we bring fascinating people your way and we make you interact and understand the journey of those people who are exploring multiple potentials in them. We truly believe that all of us have multiple talents, multiple skills, and multiple passions. And if we give them right direction, we can create multiple monetizing opportunities also for us. On today's episode, we also have someone who's doing exactly that. This is somebody who is driven by creativity and last 40 years. That's been the driving force to help her carve out a path as an entrepreneur for herself. Amy Perez Sharma has been living in India in Varanasi for a few years now and much longer in rest of the places within India. She was born and brought up in Los Angeles, California, and then this became her home. She is an artist, writer, clothes designer, and all at the same time, driven by creativity. At the same time, her passion for travel and love to meet new people made her open two guest houses, one in Goa and one in Varanasi. We'll hear all about these potentials that she's exploring through her. At the moment, I'd like to welcome Amy on the Interview Line. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and speak with you.
Same goes for us. Thank you for making time and making place for you to share your journey. So let's begin with this understanding. You're doing so many things all at the same time. You're building a brand which is to do with clothing, and that's all completely driven by your passion, your own designing, and your own search. You're also doing many more things like running your guest house. I'm not going to take the fizz away. I would want to hear it from you. Tell us all about various multiple potentials that you're exploring all at the same time. And how is that journey for you, Amy?
Sure. Well, I have a background. I have a degree in fine arts. So first part of my life was focused on being an artist. I was a gallery director. And just all my life, creativity has been kind of at the core of my existence. And what I like about creativity is that it's all inclusive. It doesn't mean painting, it doesn't mean sculpture, it doesn't mean writing. I mean, you can do all of it. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. Is maybe like when I started traveling, being a painter and an artist and dragging my materials and my finished products, it just wasn't practical. I lived in Spain for 3 years, and while I was there, I was just missing like creating, doing my art and painting, and I like to do kind of three-dimensional wall sculptures. And so, but I was traveling and it just wasn't practical. I was moving from place to place and traveling and the materials. So I kind of got excited about writing, and more in particular about travel writing, because that's what I was doing at the time and being inspired from the new people I was meeting and the new places I was seeing. And so that kind of, instigated, a different means of kind of making money and income, and just exploring, creativity on a different level. So travel just kind of kept coming into my life. I did go back to the States, and I came traveling to Southeast Asia, and I met my husband in Varanasi, like 8 years ago. And so we got married, and now I'm living in India. So, so that's kind of how I landed in India. And it's been an exciting and challenging time, and, trying to figure out how to survive and to make a living in a new country, can be challenging. But because I've done so many different things, I just kept tapping into those different things to seeing what would work in this environment, in my new country. And when I first came here, we went to Goa, and I've always, I love to travel over the world and just interacting. And so we ended up opening a guest house in Palalam in Goa. And it was a small place, just 8 rooms, because it was just the two of us, not a big budget, but, we knew it was something that we could manage and do by ourselves. Because I think sometimes if you start too big, you get overwhelmed, and then you can get a little defeated. So we just kind of started small, and, we're able to meet a lot of great people. Actually, it's where I met your husband, Abji. He was a guest, and that's where we developed our friendship, and I got to meet you. And so, it's along the way, you meet, you kind of connect with the people you're interested in. He was interested in writing, I was interested in writing. And so you make connections with people as you do these things. So at the guest house, we had a huge terrace. And I had also decorated all of the rooms. I just can't leave anything alone. I always have to bring my little touch to it, So each of the rooms, I painted them, and I was like, kind of getting my creative juices going. And I was like, well, we have this great space, and up on the terrace at the guest house. And I started making jewelry because I always need some sort of creative outlet. And, we'd established a guest house, I'd painted the rooms, okay, what's next? And, also, India is just so inspiring. All of the the jewelry, the gems, stones, the designs, all the tribal jewelry, I love all of that. And so, and the colors of India, the fabrics, the silks, all the textiles. It's just all so inspiring. So everywhere I look, I'm always getting inspired. We could do this with this or that with that. So little by little, we started creating, and we opened a little shop called The Little Shop in our guest house. And that was the beginning of our IndiBlu Boutique 8 years ago. So it's it all just, that's what everything kind of led to another step, to another step, to another step. And kind of getting back to the idea of creativity, I don't like to just get locked into just one thing, because I think you can draw from different aspects and different positive sides of your skills, and combine them, and
It's fascinating. It's really, really fascinating to hear how you have actually, if I was to use the word, because you're from the clothing and this word, weaving. You actually weaved a path for yourself from being an artist, and that being your area of work. When you started to travel, you just didn't leave that passion to travel only. You weaved in travel writing and started to create a monetizing opportunity there first. And that's, I'm sure, moving into a new space of writing, coming so naturally to you, opened many more doors for you as well. And then finding your husband, finding a new country to make your home, and then constantly looking for opportunities. A lot of times, what I have seen when I work with people as coach, or especially when they're feeling stalked or stuck in certain things, is when they move places or when they have been in a certain space of work, creating or even envisioning something different and something new that could be done can get challenging, and they can get stopped because of that. Here I see you, who was constantly finding ways to create newer opportunities. When you moved to Goa, finding an opportunity to interact with more people and create a space which you can call yours, at the same time welcoming for other people. Leveraging open spaces, empty spaces by your own creativity, and starting your little shop first, which has now become quite a big shop that I'm aware of. It's important to let us realize that opportunities just don't come. We need to take an active step, active initiative to figure out what we need to do to explore one, multiple potentials, and two, how to monetize them and get the right resources and support over there. Those things are really coming out well from your journey, Amy. So talking about the little shop and the store that you just mentioned and the colors that inspired you and the jewelry and the stones, tell us more about your brand. What is it called? I know as much that you're targeting modern bohemian women through your attires, through your designing, and through your jewelry, as well as home decor. But I'm sure people who are watching you, listening to you right now, would want to know how in a new country you went about creating a brand of your own, which already has a lot of people existing in the market, because yours is quite unique.
Yeah, well, it kind of came out of location in a way, like where we were. It stemmed from where we were, starting in Goa, but also because my husband, his hometown is Varanasi, which is famous for their silk saris. And obviously, because he lives here, he has a lot of friends and shopkeepers. And one of the shopkeepers was always kind of prompting me, saying, "Oh, maybe you should try to make some clothes to sell in Goa, and it might be a good market." And I mean, one thing that is a challenge in India is, and I think in many parts of India, is the seasonality. You have your on season, you have your off season. People shift. They go to the next city that has, their high season. Like, many people go from Goa and then they go to Manali. So there is that challenge of, kind of needing another source of income. Like, as well as things were going with the guest house, we also needed another resource for income during the off season. And so that's where kind of the idea of starting this clothing line came about as well. So being in Goa, it's all about, warm weather, swimming and the beach. And I'm a beach girl. I grew up in LA. I'm a diehard beach girl. I need my ocean. And so, but being in Varanasi during the off season, being surrounded by all the textiles and amazing tailors here. What we decided to do was use recycled saris that were from Varanasi, because they're just gorgeous. I mean, and they've been worn, yeah, but like any women, they wear things for a season or two, and then they buy the latest fashion. So what do you do with the old ones? You get rid of them. And so, the fact that it also has a positive impact on the environment, that we are recycling and reusing, repurposing these beautiful fabrics was exciting too. So we kind of had a nice blend of Indian and Western, because the styles for the women were more, kind of for beachy. Like in Varanasi, they wouldn't be appropriate, just it's a little bit more formal here. So they were definitely geared more towards like a Goa kind of vibe and audience. So, but beautiful fabrics, but kind of contemporary styles and more like summer wear. So yeah, so we started with that, and then I like to make the jewelry, and then just kind of tapping into different, again, getting inspired by all the artisans are all over India, Jaipur, Varanasi, Pushkar, Goa, everywhere. So we started including that too, but, trying to kind of get unique items, to curate in a unique collection for people that wouldn't necessarily find it just on their own, you know. So IndiBlu has grown from just clothing to having, you know, multiple items and, you know, different items, but unique and fun stuff.
Yeah, it's you know, seasonality that you spoke of. We travel as well a lot, and we're working remotely for a very long time now, much before the pandemic hit the world. So we notice that all around us, and that does impact a lot of businesses, because if it's off season and you're running a homestay or a guest house, the rest of the time when people are not visiting can impact the business, the resources that you were talking about really hard. But here again, I saw you create an opportunity. How to leverage, utilize the time that you are not really busy with catering to the guests and people who are visiting you, to reach out to a larger audience, not only restricting yourself to India, but also outside India and reaching out to a bigger audience over there. That also requires a lot of courage, because here you are in a space of trying to figure out, this is this non-season time, and then you're investing money, finding resources, and reaching out to people requires a lot of courage. Sustainable approach of recycling and recycling certain things and upskilling them and creating a new products again requires a lot of creativity. So I do see that thread definitely continuing. What I also hear you hear from your sharing is that constantly allowing yourself to explore different things that we bring to the table. We may not have done it before, but if we feel attracted to something and we feel excited about it, there's something we can create out of it. We just need to allow ourselves to explore over there. That's also, I think, a lot of time people get stopped and want to get into that, rigor of regular things that happens. One more thing which is standing out is networking, Amy. I mean, even though you were new at that point in time, this is many years ago, you did not stop yourself from connecting with people, reaching out, tapping into your husband's network, and building relationship with people across different artisans in India. Networking is very, very important when you're trying to set up something. That's also coming out as a great strength of you over here. I'm sure the guest house also that you were running, IndiBlu, we've heard of your journey over there, but the guest houses, you opened the guest houses in two of the places where I do hear a lot of people say, oh, one day I want to just decide to take a break from everything else and move to Goa and run a homestay or a guest house. Or I want to move to another place like Varanasi and do the same. You've been lucky to do it both the places. But I know running a guest house, setting it up is never an easy journey. How was it for you? Setting it up, understanding a different culture altogether, ensuring that you're promoting yourself. How was that journey as an entrepreneur for you to run two guest houses and now one that you're doing in Varanasi?
Well, definitely challenging. Doing business in a new country with a new language, a new culture, ways of working, systems. I mean, it was challenging. Like, as an American, we're all about today. And learning to adjust and accept that maybe it's tomorrow or the next day, that, whatever it is, your electrical or something being delivered that you really need may not come today. It was challenging. But, as a Westerner, you kind of just have to take a moment and just say, okay, it'll get done, and just have faith in the system. So, I mean, it was challenging. I think a big key to our success was location, was that choosing the right location can give you a leg up, because the people will find you. You don't have to work as hard to draw people to the outskirts, or because we had a really great location in Goa. We were just a few minutes walk to the beach, and I mean, these were economy places. They were economy. They didn't have hot water. But the thing that we did is we created a happy environment, an inviting environment for guests, and that, I think, was the part of the real key to our success, was the environment and the our friendliness, like my husband and I, because it was simple, it wasn't, fine dining and all of that. But, in all of our TripAdvisor reviews, like they rarely mentioned the rooms or the, amenities. It was like about us, like, oh, Amy and Rahul are such great guests, our hosts, and we had a great time. They really were helpful. And so I think, if you're authentic, if you are approachable, that really helps. Like I said, they weren't, they were nice. They were super clean. Like, one of my biggest expectations with the rooms were just like everything had to be super clean, because I know a lot of Westerners, that's, important to them, and well, for everybody, Indian, Westerners, everybody from all over the world, they want a clean room and comfortable. So, but yeah, I mean, opening in 2 different places, it took us a long time to find the right locations, but I think that was really key to kind of get things going, and not taking on more than you can do efficiently, effectively. Taking on a 20 or 15 room place where you need a lot of staff, you have a lot of expenses. I mean, keep it simple. You can always build, but starting off simple, I think, helps to make you feel more in control, and you can keep it a little bit more personal too.
What I hear you say is that when you're starting a venture like a guest house or a homestay, and you're doing it for the first time in a new place and a new country, it's important to keep certain factors in mind that would help you attract people to you rather than you going out there and promoting yourself hard. So one, I hear you say clearly that you need to figure out the right location, a location that is convenient for people and easy for them to find you out. Another is definitely how do you do the place, the decor and the cleanliness and other aspects which are important for travelers, and the word of mouth that spreads. If people are getting the right vibes and people are connecting with the hosts and they get an experience which is positive, they're going to go and talk about you out there. And that also somewhere brings the focus on the relationships that are built in, because TripAdvisor, in any other place where people will write a review, it would boil down to the relationship they struck with you and your husband Rahul in some way when they visit you. So it's not that easy.
I did.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did forget to mention about having an online presence. I mean, I think that was super key too, because there's so many places that aren't online, kind of mom and pop places. And I mean, any city you go to, I think, India is ramping it up in terms of, hotels and guest house getting online, but there's so many that aren't. So if you're making yourself accessible by having an online presence, via your own website or, booking.com or, any of these kind of Expedia, any of these kind of platforms, I mean, that really, really, helped, because, we'd see so many places, they would have a lot of repeat customers, but it was really hard for them to get new customers because they were just reliant on people walking in, walking down the street and, physically seeing the place and approaching it, But, when you're online, you can, reach people searching, because that's like the go-to method these days. They want to, when they land, they want to have somewhere to go. I mean, maybe they change later, but that's the way of the world. And so I think it's really important, no matter how small you are or big, but to have an online presence, So
we'd agree with you. We'd agree with you, because when we are developing websites for people, we have worked with a few people who have a guest house, and it has really enabled them to expand their business. So completely with you on that front. And it's so exciting to hear about the journey of IndiBlu taking a shape, and the guest houses that you have worked on, and now the one that you're running in Varanasi. And, Amy, it's not really easy for a lot of people to explore multiple potentials at the same time. Some people like to say, okay, let me take this up and then focus all my energy and attention over there. Then I will think of something else. But some people are very agile. And that's the sense that I get, the agility to be able to focus on multiple priorities and not letting one ball drop when another ball is being played through. So having an eye on both. What has been your experience over there when you're being an artist and the writer and the clothes designer, running IndiBlu, designing jewelry, and designing your guest house and running that also and attracting people there as well, all through your online presence and personal relationships? What all does it take to explore multiple potentials? Is it great? Are there challenges? What is your view in terms of exploring multiple potentials like the way you're doing?
Just trying to, keep focused, I think, is the main thing. And accepting you don't have to accomplish everything in one day. Like, you can just take, small steps to to continue building, to continue sustaining your business. If you get so focused on, giving 100%, I mean, I give 100%, to everything, but I divvy it up, maybe, like getting back to the seasons. Some seasons are busier for guests, some are busier for IndiBlu. So in your mind, if you know this, you can prioritize, where to direct your energy at a certain time of year. And I mean, it is hard to stay focused sometimes when you have so many balls going at the same time, juggling them up in the air. But you also need a team of people you can rely on, I mean, if you can build a base of, reliable suppliers or, anything to remove any part of the challenge, You're working with reliable people, so they're not causing you extra work. I mean, we've learned this, we've, had a lot of fails along the way, but to develop your system over time, and you start to develop, the buyers you're working with that are going to be providing reliably on time and good quality things. And you need a good team because you can't always just do it by yourself, but, just trying to stay focused and, also give yourself permission to you can't do everything all the time, that there are some days where just what your list is on your list for today is not going to get done. Or maybe just one thing, and that's okay. So
very, very, very important points coming out over there. So I do hear you say, one, focus. It's important to have your focus right. It's important to define exactly what are the priorities. That's number two. I may be focused on multiple things, but if I don't prioritize and divide my time, like you said, then it can lead to a state of either something being unfinished or something not getting the attention that it deserves. Another important aspect I hear you say is getting your team in place, getting the right people that you work with, building relationship with them so that you can rely on them and get the quality work going on over there. And last but not the least, very important, which a lot of time people forget, is being kind to yourself. We may not be able to handle everything at the same time on a particular day, but being patient, being kind, and making sure you are giving your 100% and the results will flow. Another myth or illusion that I hear you in a way bust is when I talk to people and we encourage them to explore multiple potentials in them, sometimes outsiders and others can feel that, you're doing this and that and this and that. So maybe the focus is missing, or maybe you're still trying to figure it out. One thing I hear from you is that surety, that you're doing things with focus, with priority, and with decision, being in multiple places at the same time and ensuring that you're being able to drive that wonderfully. It's been interesting to hear all these perspectives and get your take on exploring multiple potentials, being an entrepreneur, and getting into different spaces altogether, and how all of them come together by virtue of your travel and creativity. If somebody was keen to know more about your products at IndiBlu, or somebody really wanted to come and park themselves in your guest house at Varanasi, what's the best way to reach out to you that you would want people to connect you with you?
Well, we do have our IndiBlu website, www.indi-blu, so indi-blu.com. So our website, you can see all of our products and reach us easily that way. And in terms of the guest house, Mangla Guest House, we're here in Varanasi, and we do have a Facebook page for Mangla Guest House, and also email.
Yeah. So all of you who are watching and listening, Amy's website as well as the Mangla Guest House, if you want to book when you're visiting on your next trip to Varanasi, you could get those details in the description of this video. Amy, it has been fantastic to have you on the interview line and share your fascinating journey of exploring multiple potentials and all the brands that you're building and reaching out to global audience. Before we let you go today, are there any closing words, parting words that you'd like to share with us or with the audience?
I'd just like to thank you for having me, and I've been following your journey also as through the years as you grow your Unakriti, both divisions with you and Abhijit, and I think you guys are doing an awesome job. So I enjoy watching your journey as well. But just thank you for having me, and I wish all future entrepreneurs just, go for it. Yeah.
Thank you. And with that message of go for it, I would like to remind all those people who are listening right now, if you have multiple passions in you and multiple interests in you, Amy's journey clearly gives you an indication that you can explore them all at the same time. You may give more priority and attention to one thing as compared to another, depending on the seasonality or the kind of business you are in. But with the right focus, prioritization, and the key decisions that you take for your business or any other skill that you want to focus on, need not necessarily be a business. Developing multiple skills are possible to do at the same time. You need to bring in, first and foremost, a lot of initiative and your own judgment calls over there, courage to be able to take those steps. And last but not the least, network well, connect with people who will help you and enable you in the success of your journey. And that's how you keep enrolling more and more people to follow the passions that you're doing. On that note, we'll bring today's episode to an end. Just before I let you go, all of you, don't forget to tap your avatars until we come back with another fascinating person just like Amy to share their journey of exploring multiple potentials. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye for now.